Hello, this is Adam with DreamMade Productions. This video is made possible by the very kind donations of viewers like you. Thank you. If you are in a position to help this channel improve quality and grow, please visit my Patreon page at www.patreon.com/DreamMadeProductions, linked below.
It is the 31st century, and mankind is once again at war. The battlefields of the future are dominated by huge robotic war machines known as battlemechs.
Hello. With the overwhelming success of the Battletech Mercenaries Kickstarter, and all the new minis that have been announced, I thought it would be fun to look over the minis I have with me here to film. Like a number of people, I keep my minis in these cheap but effective tackle trays. As I've mentioned several times on my channel, I have several more trays along with what box sets and books I have left still in storage. The good news is some I now know exactly where they are, safe and sound in a closet. Sadly, others are still MIA. While we wait on all the goodies from Catalyst's latest Kickstarter, please join me as I give you a little tour of my Battletech toys and my unscripted thoughts on them. Alright, so here are the lights. A few, I think one medium, but this is my light box. Let's open her up and take a look. I'll go model by model. Alright, so first we have the Locust. This is one of the older models that I have. This is a metal Locust. As you can see, the arms on it, the little stubby arms are missing. I don't usually play with this one. It's very fragile, very old, and you know, part of it's missing. But still that classic Locust design. My bad glue jobs here over the years. So this is one I've had for quite some time. Next is the plastic version of that same Locust. This is one that came in the 3rd edition box set. This one is one that I got used. I don't even remember where. I've had this one for quite a while as well. It's also missing its little stubby arms. I do like how there is some articulation for these old 3rd edition mechs. We're not talking much on the Locust. The arms would move and pivot a little bit, and you could move the leg kind of actually to a ridiculous degree. And that was accomplished by just a hole and peg in the plastic here. You could just re-peg it on there. Oop. Re-peg it on there and position the leg. So I don't use this one much either because I'm, you know, missing the arms, and I just don't like this version of the Locust as much as I do some others. This is actually my favorite version of the Locust. This is from the Plastech set. No, I did not paint this. This is a much better paint job than I can normally do. I got this one used, I believe, at the Dragon Horde in Stanton, Virginia, if it's still there. So the previous owner of this did a pretty good job painting it. This is one of the Locusts I use on a pretty regular basis because it looks so nice. And as I said before, this is my favorite version of the Locust, with its little stubby arms, but it's a little thicker and meatier, and I really like the reverse here. Just all the detail and stuff on it really comes through. Here is another version of that Locust, done in desert camo. Again, this is not one that I did. This was bought with the other one used. This one is missing its little medium laser down there, but unless you're really looking at it, it's hard to tell. I may one of these days go in and fix that so that it'll have a little piece of wire or something there for its medium laser. But again, this Plastech is my favorite of the locusts. Here we have another example of the locust. This one is unpainted. This is what it would have looked like when you would have gotten it out of the box. All of these were bought secondhand, so I think the box came on like spruces. I think you had to break them off, but they're little trees, but I don't really know. They might have come already broken off. If you know, post below how these would have came in their actual box. I did buy a box of these from a antique store. I think I probably paid way too much for it, but I do have the actual box now and another set of these in storage. They just came in a poly bag, so I don't know if that's the way they came originally. I've been told that they originally came, like I said, on spruces. I can say I do like all of the models from the Plastech set. This is probably some of the best plastic work FASA did. Very detailed, very good looking. Moving on to something more modern, this is the current locust. This is the one that came in the box set. Real good, a little more angular than what I would like, more of a callback to the original locust, which is fine. I understand why. I actually prefer this one over this original one, but the Plastech is still my favorite, and I think it scale-wise works the best with this locust. But all in all, a really good job with the redesigns. No complaints. I would probably throw this one down more often than this one, but that's just part of that's just nostalgia. So, all in all, good job. And then we have here the variant that we already looked at that came with the Alpha Strike set with the lasers instead of machine guns on the arms. Otherwise, looks pretty much the same. Still beautiful mech, and I use this to represent both the laser version with the small lasers and the SRM2 version. When I go with the SRM5 version, again, I tend to revert back to the Plastech set. It has the 3 little dots here, which is probably some kind of leftover from the anime that it originally came from. But, you know, since it's got 3 little dots, I tend to count this as the LRM5 version, whereas this will work either for the 4 small lasers or the SRM2 versions, you could call those missile tubes. Moving on, we have a Stinger here. Again, this is not one that I painted. This was bought secondhand, done in kind of a deserty camo there again. Stinger is wonderful mech. I actually like it better than the Wasp. Its 2 machine guns are nice for dealing with infantry, or, you know, doing its melee backbiting, get that medium laser, 2 machine guns in the kick in. You can land in melee behind somebody. The jump jets add a lot, do lose a little bit of speed. This model is pretty detailed, especially with whoever painted it, kind of drawing some of those details out with the black paint. Not something I use quite as much as the Locust, but I do like the Stinger, and in rough terrain, much better than the Locust. On open field, not quite as good, but, you know, having jump jets more often than not, good bonus. Good model of it too. Here I have a metal stinger. This one's quite old as well. I'm pretty sure this is a knockoff. This was bought at a flea market. It was a flea market when I was a kid. The bottom of it's pretty rough, so I'm pretty sure this is a recast or something somebody made, but still pretty good detail, all things considered. I don't throw this one on the board much because I don't have it on a hex space, but if I do have a bunch of stingers, this will go on once in a while. Good and heavy though. Next I have a flea. This is one that came with the original Alpha Strike Lance packs, designed by the classic flea. I do have two of the same, so exactly the same mini. At some point I had bought two of those expansion Alpha Strike Lance packs. They're done in the same higher quality plastic and detail that the last Catalyst box set was done before the redesign. They are numbered 25 at the bottom. Flea is a good mech. I don't throw it down because it's just so brittle and stuff, so I think there are other mechs that do its job better, but still nice to have one if you're playing Wolf's Dragoons or Merrick or Star League or something like that. So, and it's a nice thing that you can throw down and has some variety to it. Next is my Wasp. This is also from the 3rd edition box set. This is unpainted. Again, bought secondhand. I don't know if this is one of the originals I had as a kid or one I picked up later. I think it was one of the originals I had, and it just got called a stinger a lot, but again, pretty nice detail. A few little things on it that, you know, from casting. But for FASA back in the day, a wonderful mini, and like I said, I don't like it as much that SRM2 and the leg is not as useful as the two machine guns in my opinion, but you know, still a decent mech. Yeah, really wonderful. I have a metal Wasp without its little antennas. Pretty good detail on this one. I'm pretty sure this one is another knockoff that was bought from that same flea market because the bottom is pretty rough. But like the other metal, since I don't have this on a hex space, it doesn't get thrown down very often, but still nice to have a metal one. Either way. Next, we have the redesign Wasp. I think this is also from the Alpha Strike box set. Can't say. I mean, it's a good looking mech, but it doesn't look as much like the original as the Locust did. Now, I do know this is a future variant of the Wasp, but kind of wish they had stuck to a little bit closer to the original. Much better detail on it. I don't put this one down as much because honestly, I'd forget which mech it is. Still, appreciate the people at Catalyst trying, and it is detailed and it does look good. I just don't think it looks as much like a classic Wasp. Next, we have a Commando. This is the older Commando that came with the original Catalyst box sets. This was before the upgrade. The old ones that people had problems with the quality on, me not so much. I thought they were fine. They do not have the numbers on the bottom. and the top have kind of a texture pattern, I guess supposed to be like grass or rock or something. These were fine. Some of the mechs had some pretty glaring detail fudges on them, but this particular commando is not bad. And the commando's a nice mech. You know, I'm not really sure which one I like better, the large laser version or the standard, you know, SRM6 and SRM4 and medium laser. But I do throw these down from time to time. I'm not much of a Lyran player, but when I do play Lyran, there's a pretty good chance you'll see a commando in there. Next, we have the redesign from Catalyst. Much more detailed, more dynamic pose, a little larger. So the scale is a little off if you compare the two. One definitely looks a little bit bigger than the other one. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. You can definitely tell the influence on it. I think I still prefer the older design just a little bit better, but then again, that could be my nostalgia talking. I'll use these two pretty regularly, swapping them out. Next, I have a pair of javelins. These are actually from the City Tech box set. Again, these were bought second-hand. I do have a City Tech box, but I don't know if I have the complete set. They came with two of each of the mechs that were in there, Inner Sphere and a couple of clan mechs. Unfortunately, the clan ones are missing. They're with my other clan mechs, which are... Maybe they'll turn up one of these days. There's so much stuff scattered in storage in different places. Pretty detailed. This is actually the future version, the version that's more in the 30-50 time range than the classic Javelin. It is labeled, as FASA kind of used to do, with the JVN10P is what this one's supposed to be, but it is basically the same model that I've seen with the old metals. So I do throw this one down from time to time. I do like the Javelin, both the SRM version and the medium laser version. It's a very good mech. I'm not sure how I ended up with these, but I have 3 of the Plastech Valkyries. This one is sort of the oddball in that when they designed this thing, they put it on the hex space wrong. Clearly the front is at one of the points. I have seen some people take, I guess, a Dremel tool and cut this thing off and re-glue it so that it's pointing a particular way. I can't say that I'm too much of a fan of the Valkyrie. It just, the one LRM, if you're fighting other light mechs, is pretty good, but you're not going to get too many shots off on them before they close the distance. And in a support role against anything but the lightest of mediums in LRM-10 is just not going to cut it that well. I think there's better use for a mech this size. Like I said, I don't throw it down that often because of the way the hex space is. It's honestly confusing. So, aside from that, if the modeling on it is pretty good, pretty detailed. You know, it's got a few defects in it, but for something that was cast, I believe, in the 80s, not bad at all. So if it was on there, I'd probably use it a little more. Next, I have a metal version of the Valkyrie. This one is in a different pose from the Plastech set. This one's another one that's quite old and I believe was probably from that flea market shop that I got some of these at as a kid. The detail's not as good, and I don't have it on a hex base, so I don't play it very often. But it's good to be able to field an entire lance of Valkyries if I absolutely had to. Next, I have a small group of spiders. These are all from Catalyst. This particular one is from the original box set. Again, you can tell because there's no number on the bottom and the texture pattern. Its detail is pretty good. They did attach the jump jet upside down, I believe. But you know, they fixed it later, and it's just glued in a little peg in there, so you can take it off and change it if you need to. It's got that textured ground pattern there. Pretty good detail on this one. This one was one that I didn't see a lot of problems with. Then the other two are from the newer Catalyst box sets, and I believe this was in one of the Alpha Strike Lance packs back in the day. Got the jump jet on the right side now, and it is more detailed and more, you know, looks a little bit better than the old one. So I will give it that it was a upgrade in quality and detail. But the bad one, the old one, the bad one, was not that bad. I didn't think it was perfectly serviceable. I got number 2 on there on the bottom is the way you can tell the difference. That and the smooth top of the base again. Spiders, great recon mech. It's hard to beat the speed of this thing, and it's jumping. So if you just need to get eyes on something good, it's a little hard to use otherwise. I knew somebody that really liked to jump and try to get those punches in, to get those rear punch hits. I'll throw this down from time to time. I do kind of prefer the slightly more detailed of the reissue, of the remake, but all in all, it's still a perfectly good mech, and both minis were pretty decent. Next, I have Defia Starter. Going to start Defias. Very specialist mech. This came in one of the Alpha Strike Lance packs. It has a 26 on the bottom. Very good detail. Very much based on the metal fire starter. Very specialist mech. I'll throw them down once in a while. They make a good kind of story piece. Not all that useful unless you're fighting infantry. But, you know, being able to clear off some wood hexes or heat up another mech, particularly if there's an assault on the field, like an awesome or something that you can run this up on and just keep flamering it every round. The jump jets really help it. Very, like I said, very specialist. Don't get a whole lot of use out of it, but it was good to finally get one in plastic. And in one of the Alpha Strike Lance packs. So, very good detail on it. You'll see me put this down from time to time. Next, I have a trio of Jenners. Again, I have both the original example that came with the old Catalyst box sets, the first few they did. The detail on this one is okay. This is one where I can kind of see why people were kind of complaining about it, especially the neck is kind of at an angle. I do love the Jenner, partially because this is the mech that you started with in Mech Warrior 1, which was my introduction to the Battletech universe. Pretty good detail on it. Again, no number at the bottom, and the texture pattern on the base. Then the upgrade that came with the newer box sets, and I believe this was also in a Lance pack, Alpha Strike Lance pack. Much better detail, particularly, you know, on the back. Just cleaner and better in almost every way. Technical detail on the neck. The neck is straight instead of angled. So in this one, it was quite the step up in detail. I use Generous quite a bit, mostly for the nostalgia. The Draconis Combine was my old enemy as a Davian player back in the day, so learn to respect and use these things. I actually prefer the one that drops the SRM4 for more armor and just keeps the 4 medium lasers, but that's just me. The jump on this thing helps it a little bit. I have seen people up the jump instead of increasing the armor, taking the SRM4 off and adding more jump jets. Gotta love the cockpit pod there on it. Yeah, just a beautiful mech, and one where you definitely got an up in detail from the original Catalyst sets to the last Catalyst set before the redesign and the Alpha Strike Lance packs. Much like the Jenner, I have a trio of Panthers here. Again, one in the original Catalyst set, no number at the bottom, and number 4 from the reissue and the improved quality. Don't remember if this was in a Lance pack or not. It might have been. Have to look that up. Probably put it up to the side here if it was. This was one where there was an update in quality, but not by much. The original Panther that was in the box sets was pretty good. Like I said, there is some small up in quality, but the original was perfectly serviceable, and the newer one just added a little bit more to it. The Panther is a mech that I very much like. It's slow for a light, but that PPC is just devastating against other lights and is dangerous even against heavies. So another great design from our friends over in House Kurita, and a mech that honestly I kind of envy them for and field whenever I get the opportunity to. This is the Panther from the Plastech set. As you can see, it is a bit blockier and beefier than the Catalyst Panther. It also has its PPC on the bottom of the arm, whereas the Catalyst one has it on the side of the arm. The SRM is a little bit more pronounced, and it has some tabs here from where they had venting for doing the casting. Again, from the 80s, so you have to give them a little bit of leeway since it was the early days of Battletech. Yeah, just I throw this one down so it's kind of easy to tell the difference if I'm fielding 2 Panthers, because the blockier one is a lot easier to tell the difference on the table. Not sure which one is my favorite. I do like that this one's beefier, looks meaner. This one is thinner, and you can see this one jumping maybe a little more. I like the detail on this one a little better, but again, I like the blockier one of this one, so hard to tell which one I like more, but a Panther's a Panther, and I can say it is cool to have 4 of these so I can drop an entire lance of Panthers if I wanted to, or, you know, to give other people the opportunity to play them. Get quite a bit of use out of Panthers. Like I said, they're useful as support, as a heavy hitter and a light lance. can still hold its own against mediums, and if you can kind of get off to the side and fire off that PPC even on heavies and assaults, that PPC will add up quickly if people ignore them. So Panther is a very good mech. Next, I have a trio of Ravens, electronic warfare mech. These were exclusive to the Catalyst Alpha Strike Lance packs, done with the upgrade in detail. They weren't available before that, so there's no older version of it. 27 on the bottom here. Very good detail. And this is, I suppose, lore-wise, one of my favorite mechs with the EW gear in it, showing that they were trying to innovate and recapture technology even in the dark days of the Secession Wars. Tend to use the large laser version of this more than the EW gear, mostly because in 3025, 3039, not a whole lot out there that the EW gear can affect. I've worked at creating rules for that in the campaign setting that would make the EW gear much more capable of being taken and having more of an effect as far as like placing hidden units and some other things it can help you with. But definitely an interesting mech, and as time went on and NARC technology and moving into the 3050s became much more playable, much more prevalent, and this thing just kind of looks cool with its dual medium lasers, its SRM launcher, and its electronic warfare component. And one of the few ways you can really get all of that electronic warfare if you're playing with, you know, not allowing custom mechs. Love that beak design. Next up, I have a Wolfhound. Actually, I have two Wolfhounds. These are again from the Catalyst Alpha Strike Lance packs. Very good detail on these. I do enjoy the Wolfhound. A very good alternative to the Panther. Kind of fills the same role. Having an all laser layout really leads to your survivability. This being a relatively new mech at the time of, you know, 3025 and 3039, you don't get as much use out of it. You can't throw it down in the Star League era, but all in all, a sweet mech to pilot. One I would seriously consider if I was a light mech warrior pilot. That large laser can really punch with the mediums as backup. Pretty quick, pretty all-around useful, and you know, anybody that's old enough to remember the Somerset Strikers, the Battletech cartoon, will remember this thing was in that. Number 28. Don't get to throw this down as much as I'd like, but definitely an option, and I think I'll go out of my way to try to put this down a little more often. Great mech, lots of good detail on it. And just because there was room in my light box, I have my Assassin in there. Let's face it, this thing is pretty much a light mech anyway. This particular example is from the original Battletech Catalyst release. This was another one where, you know, the step up in detail was not as pronounced. This was a perfectly serviceable mini. No number at the bottom, textured top. Can't say I like the Assassin that much. I think for its tonnage you could do much better, but as the Lance leader of a recon Lance, you know, you can really see this thing being used, you know, leading some AW scouts and some spiders or something. Again, trying to come up with rules to make these non-battle focused minis more useful in my campaign setting rules. Check those out. Actually, a version of them for free on Patreon, or the full set, such as they are, I believe are up or will be up shortly, if you're at the gamer level or higher. Just a nice mech, good detail. And I do throw this down from time to time. Well, that's it, guys. Thanks for joining me for this look at the Lite box set that I have. I have more mechs in storage, and once the Mercenaries Kickstarter delivers, there'll be more mechs to look at. I'll be continuing this series on, moving up to one of my medium boxes. Let me know below what you think of these mechs, if you have any that you think I should check out, what you'd like to see. Once I get everything completely unpacked, at some point I'll have to go through and kind of redo these and show you everything I've got. Thanks for watching, and as always, I hope you enjoy the battle reps that are to come. Hello, this is Adam with Dream Made Productions. Thank you for watching my content. It really means a lot that you have given me the chance to entertain you. If you would like to support the channel, please visit my Patreon at patreon.com/DreamMadeProductions, linked below. Also below is a link for PayPal, or links if you would like to send crypto, if that's more your thing. Please know any amount that you give will be cherished and used to upgrade equipment and improve the channel. You can also help the channel by subscribing, turning on notifications, liking, commenting, and sharing my channel with anyone you think might be interested. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you enjoy the battle reps that are to come.